guys, Farmer Dan here. Welcome to Casanova Cottage for my very first video. Hopefully not the last video. Hopefully many more to come. So I thought for our first video I'd talk about garden plan and the way I do my garden plan. I have an Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to, if you're not tech savvy, not an issue, can always be done on pen and paper. I just do mine on an Excel spreadsheet, and all I do started in 2019, and year after or season after season I jot down what I plant, in what bed, how well it did, how bad it did. I'm gonna get to the extent, especially with things like potatoes, just to weigh the harvest, just so I can compare different methods, different manures, different things like that, and it just gives you that base to always be able to do better. I tried to remember it without a garden plan for several years, and I'd always remember 1 year, maybe 2 years, but in the end you end up forgetting, and then it becomes guesswork, and you really don't want to double up, especially things, say tomatoes, who are part of the nightshade family. To plant tomatoes 1 year and then potatoes the next year, you're starting to fall into that issue where if year after year you're planting the same family, not only do they all take the same nutrient and you'll end up with a depletion in nutrients, but you'll actually end up with an increase in disease. Things like blight, which can affect them just by planting the same thing year after year. So just by rotating, eliminates a bit of disease and also pests, guys. So you'll have, say you plant tomatoes in a bed, some of those bugs will actually overwinter in the soil. Come the next spring, they'll pop back out and be looking for tomatoes. So if you tend to plant tomatoes year after year in the same bed, you're running the risk of increased pest issues. And I don't spray anything on my farm, guys. I hand pull all my weeds. There's no such thing as a weed, because anything that's hand pulled goes to the chooks or to the pigs. So there's never a weed at my place, never a pest issue at my place. I don't spray anything. The worst I have sprayed is pyrethrum, which is actually an extract from the pyrethrum daisy. So it's not pure in its own form, but it to me it is one of the most natural sort of things you can spray. So other than that, I try to stay clear of a lot of the other pesticides, and I'm a big believer the best form of pesticide is the farmer's footprint or the gardener's footprint. And so by you being in your garden every day, or at least every second day, you're able to see anything before it becomes a big problem. Otherwise, if you aren't in there all the time, aphids breed very quickly, guys, and one plant worth of aphids can turn into an entire bed of aphids in less than a week. So just by constantly being out there, lifting a leaf here and there, that's why when you water, I know, look, I run a lot of drip irrigation. I had at one point 21 raised garden beds and 11 in-ground garden beds. So there was no way I was watering all those. Watering alone would be a full-time job. So with me constantly, even when I turn the water irrigation on, I'd still do a quick walkthrough and just look, lift a leaf here and there, have a look. If there was a problem, it was as simple as breaking a leaf off. If it started to get aphids, throwing it into the chooks or throw it over to the pig pen. So there was never an outbreak or a pandemic of aphids. So I highly recommend, guys, be in your garden as often as you can. Look for problems. If you see a slightly eaten leaf, it's as simple as turning it over, looking for the caterpillar, as opposed to coming out once a week and finding your plants completely decimated. Slugs and snails are another issue, guys. That's overnight. I actually used to take the kids out with headlamps. We'd head out into the garden just after dark. We'd all go out with headlamps and we'd pull all the slugs and snails off all the plants, and also the cabbage moth off all the brassicas, which is your broccolis and your cauliflowers and things like that. So it was a bit of a hunting adventure. We'd then keep them all and feed them to the chooks in the morning. So the best form of pesticide, guys, really is the farmer's footprint or the gardener's footprint. You being in there, definitely better than reaching for a can of nasty chemicals that you then put in your mouth and the mouths of your children. So I'm going to show you the plan I use, guys. Very simple. As I said, it follows 4 simple rotations. It is fruit, legume, leaf, root vegetable. So simple. So I'll show you now, and you tell me exactly which bed is bed number 1, just because all my garden areas had a different orientation. So just as a quick guide, I could just quickly refer to which was bed 1. I then have the breakdown of the year and the season above each of the headers. I then go on to list what I planted in each of the beds. So I put the plant, which was capsicum. I put the actual variety in there, and then I put the companion. So capsicum, Chinese giant, and the companion was basil and nasturtium. So a lot of the times, guys, the companion is either a herb or a flower. And a lot of the times the job of the companion plant is either to ward away pests or to increase predatory insects, or attract predatory insects, I should say. Sometimes it's actually to increase flavour. So basil, when planted with tomatoes, actually is known to increase the flavour of the tomatoes, which is pretty cool. So bed 2, we are now going on to our legume bed. So borlotti beans were the legume. They were a dwarf variety. So they didn't need a trellis. That bed happened to have a trellis. Beans and cucumbers are actually okay to plant together, and the companion was dill. So dill is actually part of the Umbrelaceae family, and the Umbrelaceae family actually produce really large seed heads. And those big seed heads are a really good attractor for hoverfly and a really good home for praying mantises. So really important. I actually have a lot of dill planted around in my garden areas, and it self-seeds so well, guys. So once you've got it, you've got it. So I have dill popping up everywhere, which isn't a bad thing. And at the end of the season, I pull the plants up. They're really good. Chuck them in the compost, or feed them to the animals. My rabbits, my goats, they love it. So on to the next bed. So bed 3 is now under the leaf category, which I planted silver beet, and the companion was lavender. Lavender's a really good bee attractor, or a pollinator attractor. And then on to bed 4, which was carrots, which was under the root vegetable, and so on and so on. So look, guys, this isn't a hard and fast rule. The only one I wouldn't follow with another, I wouldn't plant a legume and follow with a root vegetable. Only because legumes, being nitrogen fixers, so they fix nitrogen from the atmosphere onto their root nodules. To follow with a root vegetable, so nitrogen increases leaf growth. So as a root vegetable, it's the last thing you want is a lot of leaf growth. You'd end up with carrots with these massive big leaves and not a lot of root. So, which my rabbits wouldn't complain, or the goats, but as a human, we want large root vegetables. So yeah, so that's what I do, guys. It's, as I said, very simple. I even go on to plant as to when I planted, especially with things like potatoes. So potatoes and anything of the cucurbit family, which is your melons and your cucumbers and things like that, are very frost sensitive. So by writing when you plant them, say you get a freak frost one year, I'd add that information in. So the following year you can be wary and know, oh, hang on, we had a freak frost around this time last year, and you can better prepare for it. So you can either plant a bit earlier, you can plant a bit later, or you can actually then go and cover your crops just to avoid things like that happening. So the next thing I'm going to do, guys, to go one step further, is to start weighing my harvests, especially things like potatoes and things like that, just so I really can compare different methods and different beds. So yeah, so these beds are actually been decommissioned. The kitchen garden and the perennial garden actually are no longer used. I'll go to the side and I'll show you guys. So as you see, 2020, the autumn and winter, it then went on, and then 2020 spring and summer, I had my rotation, and then 2021 the beds were removed. So those ones are actually I'll actually hide those ones now, and that's, there we are. And these are the beds I have left. So the paddock beds, funny enough, they're in a paddock. Yeah, not very creative with the names. But so the paddock beds are going to be the newest beds that I'll be doing. So I'll be looking to do these over the next day or two. getting ready for spring as to what I'll be planting. So down here, guys, just to give you a quick view, I actually have a quick generic that I can refer back to as to what falls under the fruit category for spring, the root category for spring, and then I've also got the legume and the leaf. Sorry, that disappeared. So I had the fruit, the legume, I've got the leaf and the root vegetable varieties, just so I can refer back, guys. Whenever I'm planting something, it's always handy. I try to have everything planted, especially for spring, guys. I don't want to miss anything. There's so many awesome vegetables and fruits that you can plant in the spring. So you know, so it's nice just to refer back and go, hang on, have I missed anything? Or you know, so that way you can juggle around. And the beauty of doing it on an Excel spreadsheet, guys, is the fact that you can copy paste. You can easily remove something or add something, add a line in. When it's a pen and paper, it's a little bit harder. So look, guys, I'm more than happy to email this to people. Just if you would like a blank template of this, more than happy to email it out, guys, just as a start. But I highly recommend having it, guys, because you won't remember year after year if you try to go off memory, and it's really, really good just to have that guide, so you know what you planted, what did well, what didn't do well, and what you would follow and not follow year after year. So yeah, so that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment or please subscribe. Let me know what you guys reckon. If you think anything you guys want to know about, whether it could be what to plant, how to plant, anything like that, guys, I'm more than happy to do videos on certain topics. So please let me know and we'll go from there. Thank you very much.